welcome back to the studio. So tonight I thought we would try painting another poppy. This one's got a little different look to them, obviously a different color, and just going to try and see what we can do with these. So we're going to give these a shot. I'm just going to draw them on my blank page. I'm not using a pen this time. I'm just going to use a normal pencil, and I'm going to try to give these a quick draw, and we'll see how they turn out. So here we go. Alright, so here's my first line. I think this one comes something like that. I've got one petal here. Comes out there. Now that makes the middle one easy. Something like that. That stem goes straight down. Alright, that's probably our easiest one. Our next one, we've got one here. Let's see, kind of starts here and goes down, something like this. Have an extra line there. Alright, that's good enough. And then this one goes down to there, and I've got a leaf, a petal, I'm sorry, that comes up kind of like that, and one that comes over to there, something like that. That one goes down. That one comes down, and we've got one to go right up at the top. Let's see, from here, comes over that way, and this one comes all the way around. I'm going to put that little thing right in there. I don't know what the rest of the stuff on the inside is. Right there, I don't know that that's going to help us out a whole lot. There we go. There's our three that I think we're going to draw. I actually want to change this just a bit. I think this petal looks too big. I think it's going to look a little better if we change it just like that. So there we go. There's our three. 1, 2, and 3. You can see them there. Give me a second to put my pencil down, get my paints on. I'll be right back, and we'll start painting. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to be using my Van Gogh travel set of paints here. It's real nice. Probably one of my favorites. I really like this one, but I am just about out of paints. This one's actually run out once, and I've refilled. My blues run out once. But we're going to work on that, and I'm going to use some Princeton Select paintbrushes. I don't know what I've got here. This is a number 4. We're just going to give it a shot and see how it goes. So here we go. I'm just going to mix up a couple of different colors of red. Whoa, let's get back so you can see what's going on here. Alright, mixing up a little bit of red and a little bit of red, and I'm going to put a little blue in here. Let's see what color purple we get. That's not such a bad color purple here. You can just see where my finger's bouncing. I kind of like that. I don't know if using ultramarine is going to make much of a difference. Let's see. Come on out of there. Well, that's not a bad purple. I don't know, maybe we'll use a little bit of both. I like the purple that gets made with this, my cerulean. I think it comes out real nice, but let's just see what happens with it. So what I'm going to do is put down just a little bit of paint. It's not going to be the final, it's going to be a little bit light. We are going to have to go back and touch it up with some extra paint, but I'd like to get it down on the paper so we can see how it looks just to start with. Alright, let's put that on there, and I'm putting it on fairly wet, fairly thick. I'm trying to, as I go back to my palette, just change my colors ever so slightly. I don't need to drastically alter them, but if you look at so many things in the wild, they're not a solid color. We think of them as a solid color. They're not really a solid color. So when we paint them, we probably shouldn't paint them as a solid color, even though that's what we really kind of tend to do. But we really need to get away from that and just mix our colors. And I know it's going to mix on the page. I'm not staying in the lines necessarily. There we go, there's our first one, and before we get too far into it, I'm going to mix a little of what I have here. This is Payne's Gray, and I'm going to use this to darken down our purple with. I'm going to actually mix a purple in there. That Payne's Gray is just going to help it become that much darker. There we go. And I'm going to look on my reference photo, which I have pinned up right in front of me, as to where I should put just a little bit of this darker mix. And I'm just going to drop a little bit on there. And let it do its thing. We'll probably end up coming back and changing that a little bit. Okay, there's our first one. Good. Well, this one's going to be a little bit easier, maybe. It's a little fewer number of petals. Here we go. Right, whoops, let me get a little bit of that blue in there and darken this down a little bit, but I do want to keep it a little bit thin, so I'm going to put in a little bit of water also. There we go. Maybe we got to mix these two together a little bit. That maybe got a little bit too pale. I don't want this to dry up too much up there. Alright, there we go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Our third petal down here. Maybe this one goes back to red just a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to put in a couple of indications of some of this darker color. I know it goes underneath here a little bit, and I'm going to let it, I'm going to help it pull up just a little bit, something like that. No, it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, and our last one, this is going to be the hardest one we do. It would be easy if we just tried to do this in one petal at a time. It would take some of the fun out of it, but it would be a lot easier to do one petal at a time, because we'd be able to paint some dark color on the back leaf back there, be able to mix our colors just about right, but we are going to be brave, and we are going to forge ahead this way and hope that we don't get too many runs. We're not going to do it. We're not going to get too many runs. Let's see. So I know I've got a big dark patch here, and I've got some here. Actually, on this paper, it's not actually running too badly, our colors. So we're probably going to be all right. There we go. That's what I'm going to leave it as for just a moment. So I'm going to take this off where it's starting to pool and puddle just a bit. That color is going to go right back into there. I'll take that off just for a second before I get too carried away, before I dry this up. While I still have a little bit of dampness in there, I'm going to paint in just a bit of yellow. If I can ever get my yellow to loosen up, come on. I know you want to. There it goes. Just a touch of yellow. I don't actually want to touch that purple, but I want to get some yellow down there, just to have it there so we can see how it's starting to dry, see what we need to do with it as we move along. Okay, so here's what we got so far, right? 1 flower, 2 flowers, 3 flowers. We can go ahead and dry. Actually, alright, I did it to you again. I'm not going to dry quite yet. I'm going to take some of my yellow that I've already got mixed up, put a little green with it. I'm just going to pull these stems down ever so much. We're going to be changing those, of course, but it won't hurt to get us in there just to start. Now we're going to do it. Here we go. Blow dryer. I'm going to dry this. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back from drying. So I've got to tell you, I am totally stoked with what we have here. Our yellow stamen bit needs a little bit of work. That's okay, we can work with that. But the leaves, I love these cauliflower runs in here. If you can see those, I don't want to do too much to take away from those. But what we need to do is add some definition between these petals. I'm going to go to a little bit smaller brush and pull this off so I can show you what I'm talking about. We are going to go in, let me zoom you in here, and put some definition in these areas. A little bit of dark, blend that out. A little bit of dark back here, blend that out. We're going to make our dark purple here a bit darker, especially back here. So this, whoa, I'm off the screen. Make our dark purple a lot darker. We're going to make this darker so that this petal stands out. And we're just going to differentiate between our petals. So to do that, there we go. We're going to add darks instead of take away from the lights. Okay, so we need a little bit more intense color. We're going to add a little bit more pigment. Okay, I've got mine. I just mixed it up right here. And I'm going to start with this flower. I've turned it upside down. I'm going to start here. And if I look at this one, I know that this flower starts down here, it comes up this way, something about like this. I put it on, it's a bit darker. All of a sudden, we've got a leaf now that looks just a bit different than the leaf behind it. I'm just gonna very gently blend that out because I don't want to, I hope I'm doing this on the screen so you can see this. I try to zoom in so you all can see this, and then I forget that I've zoomed in quite that far, and then you have a hard time seeing it because I've zoomed in too far and then I've moved what I'm doing. So I'm going to paint right around this. Just going to get in all these little nooks, crannies there. There we go, and right on this side, just darken that right up. And I think you're going to see that as we do that, I'm going to pull that right on out that way. Should get a little bigger brush to do everything else. I think you're going to see that as we do this, what we end up with is going to be a lot of leaf differentiation here. So I'm just patting it with just almost no water on here. I don't actually want it to take any water off the previous, anything off of the previous layer. I want everything from the previous layer to stay. But I want to darken everything else up so that we can differentiate our petals in here. There we go. This one goes up. Let's see, up and around. Kind of like that. I should get this a little bigger one. I'm just tapping, rinsing and tapping brushes over there off to the side. If you're wondering what I'm doing, there we go. And if we wanted to, we could mix a little bit of dark in here. I'm going to use the ultramarine. I'm going to use a little bit of the Payne's gray. And that might actually help us to darken up just even a little bit more. I think that does a good job. Just helping us to darken. There we go. Now that mix makes that look nice and dark. If you could see it, let's see. I think I got a reflection on it. There you go. I can see it. Let me back out so I can do the next one. I'm going to leave that be for just a second. I'm going to work on the next one. I'm going to come up here and work on this one. Right there. I'm just going to lay on that little bit of paint. I'm actually going to leave that set for just a second. I'm going to do this side of it also. I don't want the two sides to touch really. At this point I don't want runs in here. I don't want more going on in here than what I have. I like the lightness of what happened in that leaf on the first layer, so I don't want to cover that up too much. Alright, right down there. I'm going to go into my dark mixture again. I'm just going to drop in just a slight bit of that dark. Maybe I got too much up here. I got a little too overzealous and got a little bit too much. And I had a towel in my hand. I don't know what I did with it. Just going to take it right back off. Put it right back on real quick. And we'll be just fine. We'll be just fine with it. Perfect. There we go. Now I can move on to this one back here, which has its dark right down here. Let's see, something like that. Just come back with almost nothing on your brush. Take some of that out. And then I am just going to dab in just a bit of our black here. When you do this, really you don't even need to paint it like with a stroke. You can just touch it and the paint will come off exactly where you put it. It'll just come right off the bottom of your brush, exactly how you want it. And I need to mix up a little bit more of my purple color here. I'm not worrying if I get it exactly right. There is no exact right. There's a close, and there's a, we're not going to worry about it because we like the variety of the colors that we're getting, and that's kind of the camp I'm in right now. I think we're doing a good job. We're really coming along with this. Just gonna there we go, and again just drop in the littlest bit of this dark down there. Good, good, good. These are drying up real nicely. That's looking good. I'm going to leave that one alone. I'm going to leave this one alone back here. I can kind of tell I've got a couple of different, I am going to put just a little bit of definition on this one. Just I don't want to lose that leaf. Just tiniest little bit. There we go. Just that tiny little bit gave me a bit of definition there. I think I gotta stop for just a second. Let me pause. I hear somebody calling me on the telephone. I get a text. Let me answer that. Let this dry. We're gonna come back and do a couple of extra bits of leaves, tackle the stems and the background, and we're out of here. It's gonna be fantastic. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do a couple of little things here. I'm going to finish a couple of leaves here, the darkening on a couple of these leaves real quick. Let's get some paint back here. Oh, I got a string on my brush. There we go. Just going to put that on the side. More over here than over there. If my paint starts to come up, that means I've got just a little bit too much water on my brush. It's okay, I'm not going to worry. I don't worry a lot about some of this stuff. I wish it wasn't like that, but it is. We'll deal with it, move on. I actually think this is going to be a fantastic painting anyways. Okay, I'm going to get down to the smallest little brush I have. Going to get a little yellow ochre. I'm going to give a little definition to this. I'm not going to do too much with it. Oop. Let's see if you can even see that. I just want to mute that color just a slight bit. That's all I'm going to do with that. I think, let's see, I'm going to go back to my brush. The brush I started with. I'm going to just darken these a little bit. I see I forgot one here. Nobody told me about it. I'll darken these a little bit. I want these to be, just have a little more color to them, a little bit more punch. We're gonna actually darken them up here just a bit. Maybe I could try that right now. Just drop a little, just touch a little bit of blue. The base, let's see, that's this one. And let it run down. That'll give us a natural shadow there. There we go. Oh, you couldn't even see it. There you go. I'm going to pause this right here. I'm being called into the house. We're going to pick this up in a couple of minutes. You won't even notice. And then I'll be back out to do our background on this fantastic painting. So hang on one second. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let's see, where were we? Our flowers had just dried. We were here. We're getting ready to put our background on. So I'm going to take a moment to pull out my color wheel here, my color triangle, and I know that opposite colors opposite on the wheel, tend to make the opposite color pop and stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to look to see what colors I have here on my flowers, and they're somewhere in this range here. So here I have opposite, maybe opposite. So we've got an orange, a couple of orange colors, maybe a little bit of yellow green. I think that's what we're going to stick with. And actually, if we look at our original picture, we've got some nice yellow orange little bits to it here and some nice light greens. It's exactly what we have. So we're going to kind of do the same thing that's there, only a little bit differently. All right, I'm going to grab a brush here and I'm going to start mixing up some paint. I'm going to put over here a nice light color green, and I want to mix this paint so that when I put it on, it's going to be a little bit lighter in value than these flowers. I don't want it to be quite as dark as that. I don't want it to overtake the flowers that are there. I want it to be nice and like just a reminder that there's some color there, there's something there, and I want these flowers to really come forward and be the focal point of these. So I'm going to go on this side of my palette, over on this other side, and mix up some orange. Let's see what we get here. Come on. There we go. That's not a bad color. And I'm going to kind of intersperse these throughout. I'm going to start with a little more, let's see, where should I start? I'm going to start with a little more yellow up here and bring it down this way. I guess we'll have more of our greens down on this side and our yellows up on this side. So let's see how it goes. Here we go. We're just going to start out with a little color up here. Here we go. I'm going to change my colors a little bit like I do. I'm not going to try to make them be, I need to get a new towel here. I'm not going to make them be anything they're not, so let's let them do exactly what they want to do here. Get a little bit of this ochre, a little dab of this red in there. Really should have mixed a little bit more. That's okay. That might be a little strong for what I want. Just a little more yellow. We'll thin that down. Good. I'm just going to come through like this. Add a few of these colors. I put a little green up here. Maybe a little bit of this orange yellow. Keep going with my green down here. I don't want to do this to be just regular old sap green or whatever color you're used to. I want this to be a little bit lighter than that. I don't want it to take away a whole lot from our painting, and I'm afraid that if I just use regular old sap green, that it won't let these flowers just shine through quite like I want them to. Alright, I'm going to come up here. You can see how quickly I'm doing this. This is just our background. There's no need to spend too much time here. We're just going to drop in a few of these colors here, and you'll see before we're done it's going It's going to look just fantastic. There we go. Just maybe if I just get a little bit, there we go, something like that, way down here. And that's about it. That's all I want to do. I just want to add just a little bit of color so that we're not overdoing it. I want something there that's going to make these pop right off the page. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. Look how now this flower just jumps off the page, and this one, it's like it's right here. Okay, let's give it a little bit of dry. Excuse me. Let's give it a little bit of dry and see what it looks like. Here I go. Okay, so here we are. I'm back from that, and I purposely left a little bit of puddling on our page. You can see here where it puddled. Actually, let me do this. Whoa! You can see here where it puddled, and here where it puddled, and a little bit over here, and it kind of is adding a little bit of extra interest into our background, a little extra movement. I didn't want to take that away. Sometimes I like to just make it totally flat on the background so you don't get that, but on this one I thought I would want a little bit of extra something in the background there, and I totally think it turned out. So this is it. My representation. Here's the original one. We've got these nice poppies here, and I've kind of done away with all of the leaves, all of the extraneous stuff that aren't these poppies. And this is what I've come up with. The nice 3 poppies that are right there, they're stems, they're the focus, they're everything in this painting. And I think it came out fantastic. I'm so happy with this. I'm just going to sign this one and call this one done. Sign it right here. There we go. I hope you enjoyed this video tonight. I hope that you come back and see another video with me. I love painting with you. Subscribe to my channel if you want to come back and see another video. You'll get a message that says I've posted. I try to post every week. Give a thumbs up if you like and share the video. I would very much appreciate it. All right, thank you so much.